It has been a long time since we have been able to say this. The Orlando Magic might be fully healthy. Franz Wagner's return nears and the difference he makes today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is February 9th, 2026. My name is Philip Rossman. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. Hope everyone had a superb Owl Day, superb Owl Sunday, and I know Paolo Banchero did. We'll not talk about that. We'll talk about the Orlando Magic today here on the podcast. We're going to talk about Franz Wagner being upgraded to questionable, how his return is coming soon, fulfilling the ancient prophecies of the Orlando Magic being fully healthy, and the difference that Franz Wagner makes. We'll dive into some of the stats and lineups coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our Orlando Magic dailies. And every day are listening to the podcast 5 days a week during the weekdays, listening on the weekends when we do our weekend episodes. It won't be a weekend episode this weekend. It's the All-Star break. And also making us part of your regular podcast rotation, making us your first listen of the day, being one of our Everydayer Club members. We truly appreciate you for making the Locked On Magic community such a great community. We truly appreciate you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is sponsored by FanDuel. The winter games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with a bet on FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. When we spoke to Jeff Weltman on Thursday after the trade deadline, and look, I get it. It was a disappointing trade deadline. I have a lot of thoughts. You can find them on my paid feeds and talk to me about them. But the biggest message that Jeff Weltman sent after the Magic's trade deadline, after the Magic accomplished their main goal, getting under the tax, after the Magic largely stayed put, was that he did not want to touch the team's core players, touch the basic idea, the foundation of which this team was meant to be standing on. He didn't want to touch that because we haven't seen it. And to that point, much like last year when the Magic were presented with the same situation, a player nearing his return, the hope and the belief that they would be healthy the rest of the season to salvage something, to make something of the rest of the season. Weltman has an absolute point. The biggest acquisition the Magic could make at the trade deadline was a healthy Franz Wagner. Much like last year, the biggest acquisition the Magic could make at the trade deadline was a healthy Jalen Suggs. He is 100% right that everything else is sort of window dressing. It's cosmetic. It's not unimportant. Do not get me wrong. Sometimes the curtains are a little torn and you need to change the curtains out. It doesn't change the character of your room. It doesn't affect the TV or the lighting or other important aspects of your room. I don't know how feng shui works. But this is something that the Magic have not seen enough to draw conclusions. And, we'll talk more about this in the weeks and probably months ahead, especially as guys get healthy. But it is something that there is a tipping point the Magic are coming to where they have to decide, is our roster just injury prone and do we need to reconfigure that part of it? Now, again, I will be endlessly critical of Jeff Weltman for ignoring the small stuff. I think, and we'll assess this much later in the year after the season ends, Jeff Weltman's been very, very good at the big picture stuff. He's gotten a foundation and a core that we all, I think, rightfully believe can compete for a championship. If Paolo Banchero takes his game to another level, Franz Wagner takes his game to another level, Jalen Suggs and Desmond Bane are high-level support and role players. Anthony Black should win Sixth Man of the Year next year if that's the plan with that player. the Magic have a core they can work with. The problem is we haven't seen it all that much. And that is fair to say. We don't know how good this team can be. We might be about to find out. The Orlando Magic have upgraded Franz Wagner to questionable on their injury report for Monday's game against the Milwaukee Bucks. That does not mean he will play. I will say this. Usually when the media is let into practices, let into shoot-arounds, all the players are kind of out there doing shooting drills. They're all kind of working together. And you can and it's always like whenever a player's injured, we say like, oh, the last step for a player to come back is they get a shooting slot before games. They're on the court working in front of people. They're on the court with their teammates practicing and doing these things. At least as of Saturday, Franz Wagner was still kind of off on his own. For the most part, since Franz's injury, when we're at the Advent Health Training Center, he is in the weight room doing like single leg, like ankle exercises. Like he's doing rehab. He's in the back doing things. We see him in the building, but not out with his teammates, not out on the floor. He's kind of been doing personal, individualized workouts. I always say this: what we see during shoot rounds and practices, there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. So we take it as partial information. It's not full information. Like I would always joke that Jamal Mosley says a guy didn't really do much during practice. That's true because he's about to do his workout after we leave. And again, that's fine. That's understandable. So we have not seen Franz take that step. Now, I'm about to go here to shoot around. Shoot around is going to be taking place about 2 hours after I'm recording this. Thank you all for letting me sleep in after the Super Bowl. I'm going to go shoot around in 2 hours. So I'm trying to make sure most of this information stays current. Again, it's not a guarantee that Franz is going to play tonight. He is questionable. But it certainly seems like when I walk into the building, Franz will be out on the floor doing shooting drills, and they'll see how he feels and make a determination at game time. Knowing how the Magic operate, the fact that they upgraded him to questionable certainly feels like he is trending in that direction. To say the least, this is a huge development for the Orlando Magic because they have not had all four of their top players available since, November 12th, when Paolo Banchero went out with strained groin. They have not had everyone, including Mo Wagner, available since October 30th of 2024. It has been a long time. And again, maybe Mo Wagner isn't that core of a player. He certainly felt like a core player on Saturday when he flipped the energy in that game against the Jazz, taking or not. To say the least, it has been a very, very long time since we could look at this roster and assess every single bit of it and assess whether this whole picture works. And again, granted, when Franz returns, it's going to look clunky, as Jamal Mosley's put it. It's going to be some hiccups. He's got to get back into rhythm. We saw that in Berlin, where even though Franz had this great flourish to end the game, it was a little bit of a rough go for him throughout the course of the game. He's still going to need his teammates to lift him up. He's going to be on a minute restriction. And again, there's going to be this week-long break in the middle if he plays on Monday, if he plays on Wednesday. But it certainly feels like, and it certainly seems like, Franz is going to make a return before the All-Star break, whether it's for a game, whether it's for 2 games. It certainly feels like he is going to get on the floor, and we are going to begin to see if this vision that Jeff Weltman has can actually work. Now, as Jeff repeatedly said, as Weltman repeatedly said on Thursday after the trade deadline, there are a lot of numbers that indicate it will. So let's talk then about the difference Franz Wagner makes, the lineups that work, and Franz Wagner's contribution to them. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. Shoot your shot on PrizePicks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. PrizePicks is giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. It's America's #1 app for sports picks. PrizePicks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stats, on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if your picks are right, you can cash in. You can choose from basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, UFC, and more. Plus, they've got features like early payouts and flex play, so you've got options with the game while the games are still happening. I was playing some prize picks during the Super Bowl. I usually play during the Super Bowl, put a little pick together. I did an NBA and an NFL pick. I did a straight NFL pick, and I had a lot of fun. It's literally my favorite daily fantasy game. I would say this: they give you a lot of easy ones. They do give you some free spaces. They had a promotion for half a yard from Seattle's quarterback. They give you those free spaces, but man, some of their projections are right on the money. I was sweating till the end of the game. But the best part about prize picks, honestly, I think this is the best part. Even if you don't win all of your picks, you still have a chance to win. That's what the flex play option does. You could, if you get at a group of 6, if you get 5 right, you still get almost 2 times your money. If you only get 4 of your 6 right, or 3 of your 6 right, I believe, you get part of your money back. It's incredible. It's incredible value. So you may not win all of your bet. I think I did 2 $10 picks. I won. I didn't win. I didn't win them. I lost a few, but I still did well enough to get some of my money back. That's what's awesome about PrizePicks. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day, first part of your day. We want to thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. If you want to take your Locked On fandom to the next level, the Everydayer Club is here for you. If you need a group chat to keep up with the chaos in the NBA or just vent about the Magic, trust me, I deal with a lot of people venting about the Magic. I am very used to it. You can check out our Everydayer Club to get access to group chat on Discord just for Magic fans, plus join the national chats to share your commiseration with how much we all hate the Thunder. You can hang out with fans across the league. I'm usually hanging out in the Locked On Magic group Discord chat. I will literally respond to everything. Plus, I'm also working. I am working on this, I promise, to get you access to my other premium articles and subscription services through the Everydayer Club. I don't want you to pay for multiple of these things. I understand your money is valuable. I'm going to try and get you access to all my premium content through the Everydayer Club. You also get ad-free versions of the show. So if you sign up now, you can check that out. Go to lockedonmagic.supercast.com. That's lockedonmagic.supercast.com and tap the link in the show notes to learn more. So what is Franz Wagner's impact? Why is this so important? Why did Jeff Weltman hammer this point home so much that we're just not healthy? We need all of our players to realize our full potential. Why was that the leading argument after the trade deadline? It's quite simple. He's right. The Magic's opening night starting lineup of Jalen Suggs, Desmond Bane, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and Wendell Carter has played only 117 minutes and 11 games together. Just think of that. We are 51 games into the season now. And the Magic's preferred starting lineup has played only 117 minutes. It is still, this is the crazy part, this is how much injuries and how much lineup uncertainty the Magic have had. It is still the second most used lineup on the team, and it only recently got passed by the Magic's current starting lineup, which, by the way, has done pretty well. At least entering Saturday's game had like a +4 net rating. I'm sure it's fine now because of the way they closed the game on Saturday, but a generally fine lineup. The Magic's opening night starting lineup has a +18 net rating. That is the 5th best lineup in the league that has played at least 100 minutes. They have a 122.6 offensive rating, which I think we would all agree is very good, and a 104.6 defensive rating, which we would all agree is very good. Now, the trouble for the Magic has been splitting up these lineups. There's no getting around that not even Franz Wagner can fix some of the issues that the Magic have. If you take a look at the Magic's, let's say, top 4 guys, so Desmond Bane, Paolo Banchero, and Franz Wagner, if you take a look at the Magic's top 4 guys, the Magic have a plus 16.3 net rating in 121 minutes with Wagner, Suggs, Banchero, and Bane on the floor. It's pretty good. You'll take that. You take Wagner off the floor, it's still a plus 6.4 net rating, 118.7 offense, 112.3 defense. Take Suggs off the floor, it's minus 12.3. You take Bane off the floor, it's minus 21.9. The Magic's biggest problem, even taking Banchero off the floor, so just Wagner, Suggs, and Bane, in 172 minutes has a plus 1.6 net rating with a 116.2 defensive rating. Nothing lineup-wise makes sense because A, there hasn't been stability, but B, the Magic do have a problem. And again, this is why I'm still a little critical of Jeff Weltman's trade deadline is the bench has been a problem all year. The Magic can't break up their starting lineup and still function at a high level, or at least they function inconsistently. So the hope is certainly that, okay, we're going to get our starters back. We're going to get our top lineup out there again, as Jeff said. And the playoffs, it's your best five versus our best five, and everything else is just kind of giving guys rest. Which is partially true. But the Magic do have a problem with their bench. And again, that's why the Magic probably needed to do something to deadline to shore up the bench a little bit. Nothing big. We weren't asking for the big trade to change things, but they needed some support that, maybe Anthony Black coming to the bench will help. And we'll talk about Jevon Carter here in a minute. The difference that Franz Wagner makes, it's not just vibes, though. Like, he is an intense player. He is a player that keeps his energy up. We don't ever question, Franz gets frustrated with the refs. Like, he has those moments, and that is something he needs to improve on. But we never really question Franz's leadership as much or question his intensity as much as we certainly have since he was out. The big thing is this. Franz Wagner's injury on December 7th was a huge turning point in the season. Through December 7th, so that includes the game against the Knicks that he got hurt, Orlando was 14-10 with a 115.7 offensive rating. That was 11th in the league. And a 111.8 defensive rating, which was 5th in the league. This was a point that Jeff Weltman made repeatedly until all the injuries hit, whether it was Paolo's injury, whether it was Franz's injury. The Magic were actually looking like the team they thought they were going to be. And even then, as Jeff pointed out, and I would agree with this, they weren't playing particularly well. They weren't. And so there was always a hope that, okay, you're going to grow into things. You're going to get more comfortable. You're going to build. And look, you look at like Philadelphia right now, you look at even Toronto right now. Those are teams that have been together all year, and you see them starting to pick up steam. You see them that they're coming together and winning tough games and building momentum into this part of the season, whereas the Magic feels like they're starting from zero still. So, one of the reasons why the Magic are probably 7th in the East is they're not building the chemistry that they need to peak at the end of the season. Now, there's still time to get there. It's just whether there's time to climb the standings, because all these teams are coming together, and this is what you do. This is like the part of the race where you start separating yourselves from the pack and start, making those moves, and the Magic are struggling to get going. Because here are the numbers since Franz's injury. Since Franz's injury, the Magic are 13-14, and I will give them this credit. Being 500 with the stat profile I'm about to tell you is a minor miracle. The Magic are where they're at because they are really talented. Like, honestly, the fact that they're around 500, as frustrating as it's been with the stats I'm about to tell you, is a success. Because since Franz's injury, the Magic have a 111.4 offensive rating. That is 4.3 points per 100 possessions worse. That is 26th in the league. And a 116.1 defensive rating. That is 4.3 points per 100 possessions worse. That is 20th in the league. Now, I want to make this clear. Wagner is not going to fix all of these problems. Wagner alone is not going to fix all these problems. He is one of the team's best on-ball defenders and point-of-attack defenders, one of their best switching defenders, able to get on guards and hold his own on the perimeter. I firmly believe Franz Wagner is an all-defensive team-level defender. I firmly believe that. Honestly, I would say this year he's been a better defender than Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs has been taking some unnecessary risks. Like, he looks, certainly coming back from injury, so a little off. Anthony Black hasn't been as strong defensively as you would hope for, especially with his reputation. Franz Wagner has been as solid a player as the Magic have had all season long. And so they're missing that. And I do expect when he returns and gets up to speed, not only returns, but gets up to speed, I do expect that he is going to um that he is going to help this team improve their defense in measurable ways. And like this is the difference with Franz Wagner. Like this is why Franz is still so vital and so important. He just fits everywhere. Like he finishes in transition, he can cut, he can move, he could score off the dribble, he could score off pick and rolls. You don't need to do one thing for Franz to score. You could do multiple things for him to score. And on top of that, he's so versatile on defense, he makes that part of the game easier for everybody too. It's the reason why Franz feels like he's the most important player on the team. Because look, Paolo is a uniquely gifted scorer, an attacker, an offensive player when he's up and running, when he's ramped up. And certainly we can debate whether the Magic need to use him a little differently and give him advantages. Like we'll have that debate, and I'm not going to shy away from that debate. They do. But Franz is the glue that makes everything go. If Jalen Suggs is the team's heart and gives them the energy, Franz is thinking about my biology here. Franz is like the brain, maybe. Like he's the one that kind of thinks through things that, is the blood vessels and the veins that deliver it to everybody else. The nervous system, maybe, that delivers all the signals to everyone else on how to do things. Franz Wagner makes a huge difference. And it's the reason why I felt compelled, because this is news. I felt compelled to have this podcast, even with the knowledge and the understanding that he may not play tonight. In 2 hours, I may be able to say, like, okay, like listen to this podcast, but like information's a little old. Sorry about that. I late night watching the Super Bowl. Franz Wagner makes a huge difference. And that is why it is so important that he plays. Now, do the Magic have to find a way to injury-proof their roster and find better bench units? Absolutely. That is the failure of the trade deadline. But getting Franz back, that is a truly game-changing element for this Magic team. Because at long last, this team is going to be healthy enough to make the run and be the team we all thought they could be. The Magic did one more thing over the weekend. They added a new player. We'll talk about what Jevon Carter brings to the Magic. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. The Winter Games are officially here, and if you're anything like us, you are locking in for events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. Hello, Skeleton. We're excited for you to get going. And that's why following the Winter Olympics on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care about most, like curling, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. The drama of curling matches that start slow and somehow get intense fast. It's been some crazy curling and mixed doubles to start the Olympics. Hockey games that feel different right from the opening faceoff. You can literally feel the intensity of these Olympic hockey games, and even niche sports become must-watch when you're fully locked into the competition. FanDuel keeps the entire Olympic experience engaging from start to finish. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles, instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, life skills, certification, and location. If I were hiring, I wouldn't just want someone who can help. I'd want someone with real experience who could jump right in. That's what I like about Indeed. You can get specific and target exactly what you need. It saves you time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And with sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who are actually a fit. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute plus, I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of the show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. The Orlando Magic were on the clock after the trade deadline. It doesn't sound like they should have been. It doesn't sound like, they really were. But when the Magic traded Tyus Jones, they dipped to 12 players on their roster. You're legally required to carry, actually 13 players on the roster. You're legally required to carry 14. The Magic had 2 weeks to fill that last roster spot. And certainly there were options. A lot of Magic fans went for the supposedly big fish. But as Jeff Wiltman said, rarely do these buyout candidates actually deliver and actually make a difference. And so what Orlando, I think, was really looking for was a steady hand, was a veteran who would kind of do what Tyus Jones was supposed to do. Good shooting, solid play, not making many mistakes. And Orlando kind of surprisingly quickly found it. Acquiring or signing Jevon Carter, who last played for the Chicago Bulls, was waived on February 1st. Look, Jevon Carter's stats aren't going to impress anybody. He was averaging about 4 or 5 points per game. He was averaging 5.4 points per game in 23 games this season. Again, we're at game 51. He hasn't been playing every game. Shooting 41% from three. This is a 6-foot player who is known for his defense. He gets after people. He picks up 94 feet. This is what he did at West Virginia in college. This is how he made his name in the NBA. This is why he keeps bouncing around the league, is even though he is small, he is a dogged defender. He's going to play hard every moment that he's in the game, and he's going to play hard and be a good voice with 8 years of NBA experience under his belt. For this team. It is a big thing for Evan, for Carter to be in this lineup and for the Magic to get something out of this. Now, I do expect Jevon Carter to play some minutes. In Saturday's game, the Magic stuck with Jace Richardson. Jace had good moments, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I think Jace still needs a pathway to playing. I think the Magic still need a plan to play him and get him experience. But I would say this too. I'm not convinced Jace Richardson is ready for the playoffs. No offense to Jace. He's going to be fine. He's going to do a great job in the dunk contest. I'm not convinced Jace Richardson is ready for the playoffs. Look, he plays hard. I won't give him all the credit. Whatever shortcomings he might have defensively, he plays hard. But he still makes a lot of rookie mistakes. And so I think bringing in a player like Jevon Carter is meant to shore up that position. Again, give the Magic exactly what they thought they were getting in Tyus Jones. Now, Jevon Carter is nowhere near the playmaker that Tyus Jones is. He's going to rack up the assist. Tyus had, I think, 7 assists against 0 turnovers in his debut for the Dallas Mavericks. He's going to rack up assists. He's not going to rack up assists. He's not going to make plays for others, but he's going to be smart. He's going to take smart shots. He's going to defend hard. He's going to be in the right spots defensively. And again, size notwithstanding, he's going to be able to contribute on that end. And I think that's more of what the Magic are looking for. They were looking for a steady hand. So they weren't looking for Lonzo Ball, who can't shoot. They weren't looking for Cam Thomas, who only shoots. They were looking, and the Magic will see Cam Thomas tonight and Wednesday with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Magic were looking for a player who was solid, who is not going to disrupt the apple cart, who is not going to shake things up, who is not going to take away from others on the roster. That's what Jevon Carter is. And he's going to add something defensively. He's going to hold his own on defense. And that is really half the battle for the Magic. That is half the battle for what the Magic are trying to accomplish right now. This is the roster. Honestly, I don't anticipate the Magic filling that last roster spot now until the very end of the season. I don't know what their cap situation is because they got to stay under the tax. They're not hard capped. but they got to stay under the tax. And Jevon Carter is going to probably eat up half of that tax room. So I do think Orlando will probably wait till the end of the season, convert one of their two-way guys to play on their playoff roster, give them 15 for the playoffs, or bring up a guy from the G League, like Lester Quinones or whoever, to fill that last roster spot for the playoffs. And again, Magic are making the playoffs. Like even if they have to qualify through the play-in, they're going to be in the playoffs. We're going to be talking playoff basketball. Like as bad as I say this to people all the time, as bad as the Magic have played, as frustrating as they played, it's still a playoff team. Like it's like not playing like one of the last 27 games or so without Franz, which again, Franz has missed 25 last 27 games. But they're a playoff team. Like they're gonna be the playoffs. They're gonna finish the season strong because Franz is gonna help them that much. Jevon Carter is someone who's just a boost to what they do already. And that is why I think this is a solid signing. When the signing came down, I literally said, like, oh, that's nice. It's a good job. Like that's about as good as I expected them to do. I didn't expect them to go big or go for one of the names or just sign a name. But I was just like, oh, like he's actually a really solid veteran, a really solid player. He's going to do all these things that the Magic need him to do. So honestly, a great, as critical as I've been about Jeff Weltman, this podcast, that's a good signing. That's good work on the minimum buyout market. Again, not the splashiest move. I don't think the Magic would have been in for those splashy moves because, Cam Thomas wants to go somewhere where he can just shoot the ball. That's Milwaukee. Milwaukee's not playing for anything anymore with Giannis out. Guy like Lonzo Ball, guy like Chris Paul wants to go play for a championship level team. The Magic aren't there. If the Magic were sitting in 4th in the East or 5th in the East, maybe you could convince one of those guys to come down here, but that's not who the Magic were targeting. The Magic are going to be targeting guys that are trying to stick on a roster somewhere, that want to work hard, that want to just play a role, that aren't looking to showcase themselves. And that is who Jevon Carter has been his entire career. He is all about the team. All reports are that he is one of the most professional dudes in the world. He's going to be a good fit in that locker room. Like even just hanging out in the locker room a little bit before the game on Saturday, like the questions he was asking and the interactions he was having with players, like he's integrating pretty well. We'll see. Obviously, like he didn't play on Saturday. He'll surely get into the game here pretty soon, and we'll see how he fits into this group on the court. But I do like his on-court skills, and I do like the overall signing as a whole for the Magic on this one. That's good for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the film I see on the podcast to your podcast-enabled device. You can check us out on YouTube as well. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub, or head to our Everydayer Club, where you could get this show ad-free plus access to members-only Discord and a whole lot more, including, again, I am working on it, getting you access to my premium articles that I post on my Patreon as well. I'm trying to get that for my Everydayer Club members. So only go to one. I know it's weird that I have two. You're going to get the same experience with both. So if the Everydayer Club's for you, go do the Everydayer Club. If you just want my stuff, Patreon's for you. They're both going to give you about the same experience. For those of you on video, we're going to send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA game night on Locked On NBA. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. On tomorrow's episode, we will break down the Magic's first game against the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll chat about that and probably do some other stuff. But we'll get to that on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.